The NBA draft is rapidly approaching. There's still a ton of prospects to dive into. Despite the reputation of this draft being a little bit poor, there are a ton of guys I believe are going to be high value role players in the NBA for a long time. And at the top of that list is Dalton Knecht right here. I want to break down what his strengths and weaknesses are, how I see him projecting to the NBA level, and why I think that his target range of the NBA draft should be far higher than it seems to be at this current time. He is a bit more of a unique story than most of the guys we get to. That this was a guy that was unranked in his first go around coming into the college level, that he started out of the JUCO level. He's one of the older prospects in the draft because of the path that he took. And a guy that is absolutely a late bloomer. That this man entered high school when he was 5'2", he was 5'6" until his junior year, and continued to spring up. That he grew 3 inches at the college level, and him going from 6'3" to 6'6" has really opened the door for him to play in the NBA. So I want to begin by taking a look at his stats here. As I mentioned, a unique path as he began at the JUCO level. Shout out to Northeastern Junior College. Then ultimately, after the 2 seasons that he spent here, which his stats were not completely off the charts, by the way, then he went to Northern Colorado, playing in the Big Sky Conference, spent 2 seasons there. Not a ton of impact in year one as a technical junior. 8.9 points per game, 3.6 assists, 1.5 turnovers there, and shot 36.1% from beyond the three-point arc. He really began to put himself on the map as a senior, in which he averaged 20.2 points per game, also added 7.2 rebounds, 1.8 assists, 38.1% beyond the three-point arc on an impressive 6.3 three-point attempts there. And then rather than hanging up the boots and calling it a career at the college level, he decided to enter the transfer portal and take advantage of that COVID year that guys had as an extra year of eligibility there. Landed at Tennessee, and this is where his life truly changed. Started all 36 games for Tennessee, was the driving force in that entire offense. Ultimately ended up averaging 21.7 points per game, 4.9 rebounds, 1.8 assists, shot 39.7% from three on 6.5 three-point attempts per game. And think about how crazy that is to go from Northern Colorado to playing in the SEC on a very good Tennessee team and basically seeing just about all his stats outside of rebounding increased by a pretty impressive margin. Then you see his scoring numbers go up, his efficiency numbers, particularly from beyond the three-point line, go up. It is really impressive stuff, and that is not a path that we see for a lot of guys. As I mentioned, he was completely unranked in his first go-around looking to find a college. That's what led him to the JUCO route. And again, as I mentioned, he is an older prospect, 23 years old, that he will be coming into next season. That is not a concern for me. That is something that I do believe he will be a guy that will be a day one impact player. This is not a project type player that you're going to be waiting on. And one of the more clearly defined roles of all these players in the draft. So you're going to see exactly why with some of these highlights that I'm pulling up there. This is a guy that I firmly believe is the best shooter in this draft. And with all due respect to Reed Sheppard, I feel a whole lot more confident that Dalton Knecht's skill set is going to transfer. He's absolutely elite as a catch and shooter. He's got as pure of a shot as it comes. He actually put in the work at a Lifetime Fitness gym leading into high school, where he used to go before every morning to school, where he spent some time shooting, just getting that stroke down and turning himself into the caliber of shooter that he is. And as you can see, there is a little bit of juice beyond that he plays with a high level of aggression. He plays with an intensity that, frankly, like only a handful of guys in this class I've seen from. He brings it on a night-to-night basis. He'll be competing. He's going to be pounding his chest, huffing and puffing, running up and down, all things that I love. He's a competitor, and I don't want that to get lost in this conversation. The number one thing and reason why I'm optimistic about Dalton Knecht, it's as a movement shooter. That he relocates probably better than any other player in the class. He's very effective coming off pin downs. This is not a pure example here, but I will run this back a little bit to what I'm talking about. A little bit of a dribble handoff. Defender goes under the screen. We'll start with this play here. So let's stop. As you can see, Tennessee gets in the lane here, gets himself trapped, the ball handler here. And as of now, Dalton Knecht not in the picture. You can see the defender here lurking. Look at Knecht just take a couple steps to get himself open, creates the shot, and knocks it down. That's good IQ there. There's even more dramatic examples than this. I do want to look at this play here. A little bit of a two-man action where the play is directly in response to however Michigan State decides to guard here. So as you can see, it is the DHO. And not even a second of hesitation. The second that Dalton Knecht sees the defender go under the screen, he's ready to pull it. And I want to rewind that one more time. Take a look at the footwork, how ready he is to let this rip. I'm going to let this go the full way. Dribble handoff, pull, butter. No hesitation needed. And look at the little smack from the defender here. That's because he knows my scouting report said, do not go under on screens on this dude. And that is the type of gravity I do think will carry at the NBA level. He's not a guy that I think is going to be a 20-point per game scorer, But what he is a dude that can absolutely change a game. This is a guy that can come into a game and absolutely let it fly. That he had 13 games with over 25 points this season. He also shot the ball very well from NBA range, that he shot over 40% on three-point attempts from 25 plus feet from beyond. That is always a bit of a lingering concern. I don't like when guys have the toe on the line for just about all their three-pointers, that there's a little bit of limited range. That is not Dalton Knecht by any means. And here's another look at just him resetting, catching it in motion, and still knocking this down. And a filthy dunk here, by the way. But look at just the off-ball motion. It's not like he's going crazy, but just the sense to create a shot for himself, just to put himself in a better position. That makes the difference whether you're getting off a shot or not. Really impressive under the rim finish here. He is long, that despite like him being a late bloomer, and to be honest, I think like that's encouraging, that he's been able to unpack new levels of visibility at every level that he has played at. That the more that he's gone up in competition, the more that he's been able to show as a basketball player. That is not true for a lot of players. In general, you are who you are. This is a guy who has raised up to the level of competition. And it would not entirely shock me if that happens in the NBA as well. He's going to be a shooter. And there is a little more to it there. Look at that little finish coming in between guys. And look at that. A little up and under. Tough finish there. Here we go. Cutting through two. That is a difficult finish. And that is the type of attempts that it's always interesting when projecting. Like in all reality, it's probably once in his career that Dalton Knecht will get a shot like that. I think he's much more going to be shooting attempts like this. But I see a little bit of JJ Redick in him. I also will note he's going to be the oldest top 10 pick, which I assume he will go in the top 10. I think he should be locked to go in the top 10. Personally, I think there's a conversation to be had that this guy should be a top 6 player. I think I likely have him there on my board because of how clear I just see his role at the NBA level and how complementary that is to the bigger stars across the NBA. You need shooters. Shooting has become more and more of a premium in today's NBA with all the scoring and just perimeter spacing that is necessary. Adding a guy like this who's ready to step in from day one should be appealing to every NBA franchise out there. And that this play right here, I want to particularly highlight. This is what he's going to make a career off. A little curl off the inbounds pass that he's able to catch, turn, knock it down, no hesitation. This isn't even bad defense here. This is just Knecht being a better shooter. Look at the screen being set, gets to the corner, rip. That's not even badly defended. That no, he didn't get up and contest, but he was in his space there. That he stuck with him as good as he possibly can. We're going to see Dalton Knecht hit hundreds of those shots in his NBA career. I firmly believe that to be the case. Those particularly are the type of plays that I do expect to see a ton from him. And there is a little bit more there, that he's not just a stationary shooter. Look at the little wiggle getting to the basket in this one. That first he drives, his initial drive attempt closed off, dribble out, retreat dribble, and then he's facing up a guy, hit him with a little crossover, get to the rim, tough finish there. There is a little more in his bag than being just a shooter, which I think a lot of people are looking at him. And why I think that's important is obviously his calling card is going to be as a shooter. He's going to be a three-point bomber, a high-volume three-point shooter at the NBA level, but there will be moments where the closeout is over-aggressive and you want to punish guys by being capable of getting by them. Dalton Knecht can do those things. Look at that. That's an NBA range 3. Great form, great footwork, and the release point is pretty. I love everything about his jump shot. It is pure. There's nothing that needs to change there. There's him getting downhill a little bit. The biggest questions with Knecht, he's a little bit limited athletically, and the defense is fair to concern. That he's by no means a defensive stopper. He's going to be there for what he brings on the offensive end of the floor. As long as you're passable on that side of the floor, and believe me, it will be discovered that there will be the Luka Doncic's of the world or the James Hardens who are pointing you out, calling for a screen, and then taking you one-on-one when they see you on the floor. That's going to happen to all these rookies, but for Dalton Knecht specifically, who's going to enter with a bit of a concern for his defensive reputation, I think it's a bit overstated. In general, he competes. The level of competition that he brings on a night-to-night basis is also something that I do want to highlight. This is a guy who's going to leave it all on the floor, is going to be intense from start to finish, and those are great characteristics. That, to me, is infectious to a team and something that should be attractive to organizations looking at players. But the defensive concerns will be found out relatively quickly. He's got a little bit of Isaiah Joe in him that I see, and Knecht even a little bit bigger than Isaiah Joe. And I mean that from like the fluidity standpoint in his shot, that they're both some of the two most pure shooters that I've seen in the NBA, guys that just want to let it fly. That's Dalton Knecht. So when thinking about what his role is at the NBA level, for sure, a guy that is a shooter, a game changer, a guy that I think can come in the game and all of a sudden have 18 points pretty quickly. He's a smart player. He's an intense player. And he's got enough size that I believe the gamble could be worth it defensively. This guy's never going to be a defensive stalwart, but I do believe at 6'6" with a decent wingspan and a guy that, again, will bring it, will compete, there's something there that is worth going for. And you see a bit of the athleticism as well. He's not a stiff by any means, that he will get downhill. He will shake a guy off a little crossover or something like that. There will be opportunities in broken play situations where Dalton Knecht will be able to show these things. But once again, it is these types of plays that are be the reason that he has an NBA career. I'm going to highlight this one more time, that you can see another out of bounds play that is drawn up. Another situation where this is a difficult shot. You're going away from the basket into the corner, borderline beyond the backboard right here, and still knocks it down, no problem. Those shots he's going to make an absolute career off, and he's going to be ready for the challenge. He will be very valuable to a team for those specific reasons and everything else that he does bring. So I am ready to stamp Dalton Knecht as a true impact NBA player, one of the guys that I think is more ready to step in from day one. This is not a draft to take an upside swing. I feel that so many of these players, while it's short on this top end talent, they have guys that I can label as I can picture exactly what they're going to be in the NBA from day one. I don't want to go as far as saying like Klay Thompson, but there's some of those shades in Dalton Knecht's game. I don't know if he reaches those heights. Klay was a very good defender in his heyday, certainly past that at this point. But I do see Dalton Knecht being closer to that level of shooter than like a Buddy Hield type. And I know I mentioned Buddy Hield. I don't see Buddy as the willing release or quick trigger of a guy like Dalton Knecht. But Knecht is way more willing, way more able to get it off at a rapid rate than a guy like Buddy Hield, which is intriguing as well. So I'm all in on Dalton Knecht. This is a guy that I do think should hear his name in the top 6 of this year's NBA draft. It has surprised me that it does feel like the stock has been slipping a little bit as the draft is getting closer. If he is not called in the top 10, it will be a mistake by teams, and it does seem like that is on the table right now. So let me know if you're as high as I am on Dalton Knecht. If you do believe this guy whose game clearly translates to the NBA level in the way that I believe that is the case, make sure you are smashing that subscribe button to keep the support going. Appreciate each and every one of you guys for tuning into this video here. Drop a like if you have not already. And I'll be talking with you next time right here on Pixel Media.